Okay, let's say a prospect in a sales call is like, hey, why should we go with you? And a normal salesperson is gonna be like, well, let me defend myself. Well, you should go with us because we have, the cheapest products and we have the fastest delivery and we have the highest rating of customer satisfaction. Okay. Versus a really confident, like sniper salesperson is gonna respond to that and be like, what's up, YouTube? My name is Taylor, and I make these videos to document my own entrepreneurial journey, but also to hopefully help some of you entrepreneurs scale and grow your business and impact as well. So what I want to share today is what I've learned personally after literally doing over 15,000 sales calls myself, what people call in this remote high-ticket sales environment, so that you guys can kind of see what I've learned and what it looks like in the trenches. Because unfortunately, I do see a lot of sales trainers and gurus who sold online for a year, and then they're a sales trainer or a sales recruiter of some sort. Sweet, so I'm gonna break down 5 of the biggest takeaways I've learned doing so many darn sales calls. So I started doing online high ticket sales for my own business back in 2013. And then I went on and sold. I was Alex Armosi's first sales guy when he was doing Gym Launch. I've had the privilege now of personally selling like over 13 million in sales through 11 or 12 year period, something like that. But now I've managed our own sales team of 20 plus people, all remote, and now training other salespeople for other businesses as well. So what are these 5 takeaways? I'm gonna start with number 1. Sales is not about being liked, it's about being trusted. So I don't know if you guys ever heard the phrase, I think it's from Bob Berg, but it's like people buy from people that they like. But the reality is what I've learned is that's not entirely true. I mean, if you think about it, if you are going to buy a solution, something extreme like cancer treatment, okay? So you have to select a doctor to work with. Let's say one guy, he's pretty direct, not a whole lot of personality. He likes to golf. You don't like golfing at all. Kind of carries himself with a weird slouch and slump, and that kind of puts you off in a weird way. He doesn't make eye contact with you very much. But he has cured more people in cancer than any other doctor on the planet. And he's been doing it for 35 years. Versus another doctor, you'll love his smile, he makes great eye contact, gives you a good handshake, he's super nice, he likes the same sports team that you like, etc., etc., etc. But he just got out of residency last year. And this is really like new ground for him because he wasn't really doing cancer treatment up until this point. He was doing pediatric. Who are you gonna go with? You're gonna go with the person that you trust more. And that is my point. So to put this into play with remote closing and sales, if you're selling services online, I think old sales training and like the old way of selling has taught us, hey, build rapport right out of the gate, right? So you take the call, maybe you're on Zoom. Hey, how's it going? Hey, so where are you calling in from? Oh, you're calling in from Boise. Boise? I've been to Boise. Have you been to this one restaurant? It's called, Sweet Saddles. Yeah, that's one of my favorite restaurants. Oh my gosh, that is amazing. And you're like trying to do this like rapport connection thing. That's gonna trigger people. And so they don't trust you because they think it's a tactic to try and like just get people to like you. So I've just found personally that just doesn't work great. Instead, I start sales calls in a more detached frame because I want them to perceive me as like, I'm here to identify problems they didn't even know they had. And that's gonna position me as a trusted advisor where they're actually gonna listen to what I have to give them at the end when I present. So the beginning of my calls, I'm more like, hey, can you see me okay? Hear me? Okay, cool. Well, hey, John, I know you booked into my calendar about, possible help with maybe like scaling your business. Today's call is pretty basic, and then I'm framing the call. And that sort of intro is more like, hey, I'm here to get crap done. And now I'm being warm and I'm being kind, I'm not being a douche, but people are not gonna buy from you just because they like you. They're gonna buy because they trust you, and the trust is, can you solve my problem? So that's number one. Number two is the offer that you're selling can actually compensate for being really sucky at the skill of selling. What do I mean by this? Here's an interesting story. So like I said, I was Alex Hormozi's first sales guy when he was starting Gym Launch. I guess technically after Layla, because she was doing sales first. And so I show up to a gym because he was launching a gym in San Diego, and that's where I lived at the time. And he's like, cool, so you've got 15 appointments today. They're gonna start coming at 3:30. And granted, it's like 3:15. 6-week challenge, tells me what it is. They put money down. If they lose 20 pounds, they get it back. I'm like, okay. Anything else? Nope. And so no script, like no training, no process. Granted, I had been selling my own services online, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth. So nothing crazy in the millions, but I'd been selling successfully up until this point. So I had some sales acumen. So the first guy comes, he sits down. I'm like, cool. So I guess what made you want to come down to the gym and check this thing out? And I kind of start going into what sort of process I know, but the offer was just so good. He's like, yep, I'll do it. $600. And then the next guy, $600. And then the next guy, $600. So I sell 11 people in my first day. And I'm like, holy crap, this can be this easy. Alex's offer for Gym Launch in the gym space when he first started it was a 6-week challenge that was free. So he would market a free 6-week challenge. The pitch was, hey, we're gonna help you lose 20 pounds. And when you do, you get your $600 deposit back. Or you can credit it towards whatever training you wanna do, because now you see that this stuff works. So see, the offer was so good. It's like you could be totally crap at sales and still do a good job. But then you add sales skill on top of it, it's bananas, right? And so for all of you who are maybe struggling with sales yourself on your calls and stuff, look at the offer. Like if the offer's not crazy compelling, no brainer, like, oh, that makes so much sense. Like it will require less sales skill for you to close. And the good thing about that is like now when you add the sales skill on top of a great offer, you're gonna make a ton of money and it's gonna be really successful for you. All right, number 3 is you do need to realize to make 80% of your sales, you're gonna have to overcome objections. Now I know there is a way, and we teach a bunch of salespeople, and I've learned this from other great sales trainers. There is a way to structure your sales process to mitigate objections, but the reality is you're still gonna get them. So you have to know how to handle objections really well if you wanna make a bunch of sales. And what that means, a person has objections because there's an information arbitrage going on. You have the information as the salesperson or the entrepreneur, and the prospect doesn't. That's why they're skeptical, unsure, uncertain. So it's your job. How can you create that certainty by delivering that information, but doing it in a way where the genesis of the ideas are actually coming from them? Because a person telling themselves to do something is always way more compelling, more persuasive than you trying to tell them something. Now, there's a caveat to that, right? The reason they have the problem is because the way that they think. It's their current perspective is what's keeping them in the problem. And so as a salesperson, your job is to reshape and give a new perspective, but you do it in a way where they get to step into it, right? And then they get a new way of thinking, so that way they can actually make a decision and say yes. So let's use an example. Let's say you're selling a business opportunity, okay? And the prospect at the end is like, this sounds great. It's just, man, I don't have that kind of money. Okay, what does the typical salesperson want to say to that? Hey, that's no problem. We can look at some payment plans and like get you in for a little bit less. Okay, you see what's happening there. You are playing into their story. You're playing into their perspective of why they can't do this. Okay, remember, the reason they haven't solved the problem and started a business opportunity and making more income is because they keep telling themselves the story they don't have enough money. So instead, Like what I would say, or what I've trained salespeople in business opportunities around that would be something like, hey, that's not a problem. That's why you're here, because you want to put yourself in a better position where you're able to make more money, right? Yeah, totally. Let's put money aside for a second. Assuming you had it, would you want to move forward? So you see, you're isolating that and theoretically putting it away, or hypothetically putting it away, so they can say yes to the solution, because I need to start getting them into result-based thinking now. Once I get them there, then I'm like, so, okay, would you do the program? Like, yes. Okay, why? And then they tell themselves why they would do the program. Okay, got it. So I can appreciate money being a concern. I guess with that said, how do you think you could come up with the funds so that you can start making that $3,000 a month like you want to? See, that's a different way of thinking, because their perspective up until that point was, I can't do this because I don't have money. You are showing them of like, that's why you need to do this, because you're going to get more money in doing it. Now, if they don't have conviction that those results actually happen, well, then you have to go back and build conviction for why that would happen. And you do it again through questions that have them telling themselves, convincing themselves why they would make that money. So you see, you're reshaping people. And if you guys don't know how to handle objections, all the different ones that come up, and you don't have that scripted, you haven't practiced it, and you haven't like word tracked it out loud and role played with people, you're gonna be missing a bunch of sales. So that's important. All right, so number 4 is people buy from those that have authority and a higher status than themselves. So what do I mean by this? If you are 20 years old with no life experience, barely just got out of college, and you're gonna try and sell business owners into a multiple 6-figure investment solution, it's gonna be tough for you to actually have the energy and the tonality, right? The nonverbals that indicate authority and confidence to make that sale. Because think about it, I was always the top trainer at every gym I was at in sales. And I think a big part of it was I was in the best shape. And I know that sounds weird and like almost ego-ish, but the reality is like, a person would see me and they're like, man, that guy's in shape. He could probably show me how to get in shape. Versus a person wouldn't see the overweight, like not put together trainer and be like, oh, they could probably show me how to get into shape. See what I'm saying? That person has an uphill battle of creating trust that they can get those types of results because it doesn't look like that they have it. So in similar fashion, if you're in sales and you're selling some sort of solution, like there should be a real conviction and certainty that you have because you've done it. You've seen it happen enough times. Like you believe in either the entrepreneur, or if you're the entrepreneur, you believe in yourself that like, you know this crap, you can do it, you can deliver it. And that translates into your energy and how you communicate with people, and people read that. And so if you're able to do that with your tone and your energy and how you say stuff, and you leverage it to elevate your status, that's gonna help you a bunch. So this comes back to like, okay, let's say a prospect in a sales call is like, hey, why should we go with you? And a normal salesperson is gonna be like, well, let me defend myself. Well, you should go with us because we have, the cheapest products and we have the fastest delivery and we have the highest rating of customer satisfaction. Okay. Versus a really confident, like sniper salesperson is going to respond to that and be like, well, I'm not sure if you should or not yet, but what I could do is I'd love to ask you a couple more questions to see if we can. And if I feel like we could, then we can talk about some possible next steps from there. Would that help you? See, that elevates status and shows like, well, I have some more digging to do. And honestly, that's going to help sales a lot. There's more examples I could give there, but all in all, high status, high authority if you want to crush it in sales. Number 5. Okay, sales is not a numbers game. It is a skills game. What do I mean by this? I think I always heard like, hey, sales is a numbers game. And to a degree, it kind of is, right? Like you do have to do a certain amount of volume. You are going to have a certain number of no's. Yes, but we all live in the constraint of time, whether it's your time or your salespeople's time. And then you are spending money in sending leads to salespeople. Or if you generate your own business as a salesperson, you're spending a bunch of your time to generate leads. So the more of those leads you can close, that is direct profit and direct commission into your pocket. So of course you need to be more skilled. And then when you have more skill and you add the volume, that's when crazy amounts of money are made as a salesperson. So if you are not refining your skills, like you're not reading books on psychology, you're not doing communication training, right? Learning how to speak, how to talk on camera, how to communicate ideas. If you're not practicing the exact questions that are part of your script or your sales process, if you don't practice and role play your objection handling tracks and your scripted out objection handling stuff, you are missing out on closing a higher percentage of your leads and opportunities. And that is a shame. Those are the 5 things that I've learned personally after doing 15,000 sales calls and selling for 12 years in this remote space. If this was helpful, or if you want to send this to someone that you know is in sales and this would help them, please share it. Give me a like, comment, subscribe if you want to get more videos like this one, and I will chat with you soon.